welcome to Encounter Live. This is an opportunity for us to sit down with real people to hear real stories. And that's really what we're trying to do is we want to hear what God is doing, not just in, praise the Lord, hallelujah, we're blessed. No, what is God doing in the hills and the valleys of life? And so hopefully that is what you're getting to experience in our past few episodes of really seeing that God is a God who is part of everything. And that when we encounter life, there's a wrestling that occurs. And so this week, I'm excited to introduce you all to Nancy and Louie Perez. They are an incredible couple who are part of our church. You guys are dear friends. We've walked through all sorts of things together. And I admire your bravery, your courage, your tenacity. We just think so highly of you both. And so thank you. This is not an easy topic. Mm-hmm. More important, it's not easy to walk through. Mm-mm. And so, again, I thank you for being willing to share and open up with us. Mm-hmm. Also, if you're watching, you can submit your questions in the comments section, and that way we can hear a little bit more. But today's topic is infertility and postpartum depression. Mm-hmm. And really, 3 years ago, no one would even talk about postpartum depression. Mm-hmm. It was often spoken down to. Kind of like, oh, you're just sad.
Yeah, I believe it.
What was that?
I believe you.
Yeah. And so this is a huge thing. So your willingness to share this part of your story is important. Because I think there are a lot of women and couples out there who they're going, I think there might be something wrong. Mm-hmm. And so they're not shamed, they're not pushed to the side, but they need a voice. Yeah. So I appreciate that. How long have you guys been married?
It's funny, yeah. She's always asking me, when did we get married? What year?
I just asked that like last week. You can answer that.
We've been married for 5 years. 5 years. 2015, we got married. Right before we went to full-time ministry. Yeah. We met each other through family friends. Mm-hmm. And we started talking more on Facebook and
after MySpace.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Sorry, I'm dating myself.
Through Messenger. And it all started there. Nancy sent me a message. We were both going through, I would say, depression or just a bad time.
Heartache.
Yeah, it was a heart. We both had heartbreaks at the time, and she reached out to me. She spoke to one of my family members who spoke highly of me as a Christian, as a believer of God. And so she sent me a question, and ever since that day, we've been riding together every wave, every wave.
Yeah.
So it's been good.
Well, I love that you guys choose to ride that wave.
Yeah.
So, of course, you get married. Everything's perfect. Everything goes as planned, right?
No.
How long did you want to wait till you started having kids?
Well, we had actually talked about it. We had started, as soon as we got married, we went into ministry.
Okay.
So we said, let's wait a year.
Yeah.
That way we could enjoy each other, enjoy our company, learn more about each other, and then
sleep.
Yeah. And then try to have kids.
Okay.
Our children. And that's what we did. Mm-hmm. That's what we did. And after a year, we started trying, and nothing was happening. Yeah. And that's when we didn't think nothing was wrong, but as time kept going by, then we started asking those questions. What's wrong? Is it you? Is it me? But I mainly thought it was me because I grew up having a lot of pain and I experienced trauma as a child. Yeah. So I thought every month I had really heavy menstrual cycles and a lot of pain. And I'm gonna be real. I'm saying menstrual cycles because that's what I was experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very heavy, very painful. But when I got married, they started getting worse and worse. Yeah. So I thought it was my fault why we were not getting pregnant.
Yeah. And if that's all you've experienced, there's nothing wrong. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
But then you realize the result's not happening.
Yeah.
There's something wrong. What did that do for you guys as a couple?
I think it definitely pushed us to keep trying, but also I think I started feeling like, as a woman, I can't carry your baby. Like maybe I wasn't the one for you. Like that's how my thoughts took me to, or it started getting really stressful. Stressful.
Very.
Because we were trying during ovulation. I was writing down my menstrual cycles, when are you most fertile, and but the pain only started getting worse. And then I started searching for different doctors and going to different doctors, and everybody would tell me, you're fine. They would do ultrasounds, and they couldn't really find anything until finally, after like 2 years, I saw a doctor that said, hey, I think you have endometriosis. And I had already looked it up because I was always searching, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? And because it was starting to get debilitating for me as doing ministry, and then also being with kids all day as a preschool teacher, it became really exhausting and painful. And I finally went to that doctor, and he said, we're gonna do laparoscopic surgery, and we'll let you know. And sure enough, I was diagnosed with endometriosis. And I was excited, happy that I had a diagnosis, because I wasn't making it up. I thought I was making it up for a while. And I would tell him, like, do you believe me? Do you believe me? Like, and then after that, once I got diagnosed, I was happy about that, but then I was sad because infertility and not being able to get pregnant was part of it.
Yeah, it's crazy because infertility is not just a physical thing. It's a very emotional thing. And then when you get those doubts, like, am I even the right person for my spouse? That's just poison for our marriage. And it gets very difficult. You can begin to turn on each other, begin to doubt one another, and that's not easy.
And I think and you start grieving. You start feeling like every month I would get excited and I would get a test and I would tell him, let's do it together. But then it got to the point where I would just do it on my own. And I would cry on my own because I didn't want to tell him that it was negative again. And I worked at a clinic too, so I was able to do them more often. Or I would just go get one, and I would cry in the restroom, and then I would just be like, okay, move on, like, you have to keep going. But that was hard because I felt like that pain was pushed down in those moments.
When you get that diagnosis, it does, I assume, like you said, it confirms you're not crazy.
Yeah.
You kind of expressed how relieving that was, but how about for you, Louie? Like, how'd that make you feel knowing that, okay, there is something specific going on here?
Yeah, I think it really, it helped us out. We were at a point where we were like, man, we need answers, because every month, it was, like she mentioned, we were grieving. We were really in grief. We didn't know how to explain it. We didn't know how to articulate it. But it was happening. We were crying. We cried a lot. We prayed a lot. I mean, we prayed in Jesus' name. We did all things that we can do. We did it all.
Like, why is she pregnant? And
she's
not even like, she doesn't even do the right thing.
She don't go to church. Right. Yeah, like you start comparing yourself on Facebook. Like, you see the messages, you see the congratulations. So I think we were grieving really, really bad. And not to get like too holy, right? But I think that kind of that reminder that, I really believe that God could answer a prayer. That was kind of my stance, was just like, you know what? I've seen God do things in the past. I've seen him move mountains in my life.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I met Nancy, something that a lot of people don't know is, you know, you mentioned, how do we meet, right? Mm-hmm. So that night that she actually messaged me, if you remember, she actually told me she was on the verge of suicide. Mm-hmm. So when she reached out to me, she was like, I need answers. I need to find out where God is. And I've heard that you have the answer. So I think it was a divine moment that God put us together. We both found healing in the Lord and with one another. So with that said, I feel that, you know, God was going to do something. I don't know how he was going to do it. Yeah. And even if he didn't, which we'll probably get to.
Well, thankfully, Louie, he never gave up, reminding me that even if God wouldn't give us a baby, we were still gonna love him and serve him. And when he would say that, it was painful because I would be like, what? Like, really?
Yeah.
But I had to learn that, okay, if you're not gonna give me Jubilee, which in that moment, and also Judah, I would think of, that was the name of a boy that we had chosen. I was like, fine. Yeah. But it was like, I'm gonna live my life without my baby. Like, you start thinking all these things, even, and all of that is painful. So you kind of do bury or hold it in. You let it out in different moments, but it's a lot of pain enduring infertility.
Physical pain to bury hope because you're trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And you can't explain it for anybody else.
No.
Your story's not like anyone else's story. Their story's not like your story. There are some similarities, but when you try to bury hope out of fear of, because you're just going to get hurt again.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
That stinks.
Like, I'm not going to put my hopes up next month.
Yeah.
Or let's not think about it. Let's just enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
If it happens, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, but then the next one would come, and I would check again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's not happening.
Forget about it. It's not on our mind.
Yeah.
It's completely on your mind.
Yeah.
And it's crazy when you look at infertility from a medical standpoint. It's not covered by insurance. And I know my wife and I walked through it. You obviously know that. But knowing that abortion was covered by insurance, you know, and that that struggle between you're wanting to bring life into a healthy couple and to people who are wanting to help the world become a better place. It is hard when you start seeing other people and the comparisons and the game. I know, and I'm sure you've heard a lot of stupid things from people.
Oh, yeah.
The advice that they would give you. And I know that's a whole nother topic we can talk about right there. But I want to kind of fast forward a little bit. I really believe that God's miracles are in partnership with our pursuit of making things happen. So you got pregnant.
Yes. I did. And it was out of nowhere, it was a big surprise for myself.
Yeah.
We had actually not given up, but we were not trying anymore.
Yeah.
I was given actually birth control at that moment to be able to not bleed so much and to be able to function better. I didn't want it, but I started trusting on this doctor who said, go ahead and take it, at least to relieve some pain.
Yeah.
And yeah, it did help, but
so birth control helped you get pregnant.
Honestly, I don't know what helped, but I ended up feeling a little better. And then we had this insurance. Louie had got this insurance. It was a PPO. It was really expensive, but he got it so I could go through therapy and be able to open up to the therapist about what I was going through, and from my past trauma, and I was going, but it got too expensive for us. So when we were transitioning
The
our insurances, I didn't tell him, but I didn't have no more medication. And I didn't think anything. I was like, at this point, I don't even
Yeah.
think about that anymore.
Yeah.
If it happens,
Yeah.
it's a
He cares,
miracle.
he looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think I stopped it, and then I went to the new place, which was Kaiser. I got a physical done because I was a new patient.
Yeah.
And the doctor's like, you want a refill? I was like, well, yeah, I guess I have to continue. Because the doctor that I was with, he said not to stop unless he will tell me or when. So then I ended up going to the pharmacy, and they were out of stock.
Yeah,
They didn't have the medication. And I was like, that was like a Thursday.
Okay.
And the girl was, she actually comes to this church. She is, her husband plays
Yeah.
Paul,
Yep.
Paul's wife.
Yep.
She's the one that was like, she was like,
Shout out
I'm
to
sorry,
Paul's
we're
wife.
out of stock.
She's all
And I was like,
hiding it
what? So then she told me they were going to have it back on Monday. And then I guess that weekend.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
We had
I
actually-
had no idea.
We had actually told ourselves, you know, like we mentioned, hey, God, you do it or you don't.
Yeah.
It hurt, whatever. But we told ourselves we're going to get a French bulldog, I think. We said
Yeah.
a boxer. We're like,
That's going to be our baby.
2019, that's going to be our baby, our dog. So we love dogs.
We're going to have our adventure. That was the word of the year.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
And we were like planning on getting a dog.
Yeah.
We actually moved in with my mom and my sister, and they allowed dogs there.
That was
we
the
were,
whole reason we moved into
that
the
was one of
place.
the big
Yeah.
reasons. And then after that, I had no idea.
Yeah.
I worked at a clinic, and I remember I was in an Uber.
Okay.
I took an Uber to work, and the man was talking to me, and I was falling asleep, but I had my sunglasses. And I remember, like, I was falling asleep, and I was like, why am I so tired? Like, I wasn't thinking of anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
And then we got there, and I was still sleepy, and I remember, like, telling myself, you don't do that. You're very cautious.
Yeah.
Like, you're always on alert.
Yeah.
And I think that's just part of my past. So that was kind of off. And then when I got there, I sat down on the computer, and my coworker comes and talks to me, good morning. And she's a little like, like,
Extroverted.
yeah, like
Yeah.
she was like, good morning. And I was like, Monica, give me some time. Please give me some time. And I was like, it's not to make you feel bad. I just need some time. And then after that, I went to the back, and I said, you know what? I'm going to take a pregnancy test. And she's like, oh my gosh, what if you are pregnant? And I said, no,
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, 'cause
I'm
you're
just
so
going to
used
do
to
it.
You're not.
I'm used to doing this.
You can't. In your mind, you can't.
Yeah.
And I came out, and
Wow.
it was positive.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You said some two really, I think, important things I wanted to re-highlight. Then I have a couple of questions before we
Okay.
move to part two.
I know.
Is you didn't just take care of the medical things, you pursued those, but you also took care of the emotional. You went and had therapy.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
That's huge. I think in our culture there is a lot of shame and guilt,
Yeah.
and you feel like you've shared, you feel like you're broken. But to be willing to go get the help that you need, and I would encourage any woman, any couple, to go get counseling through this process
Yeah.
because you can't do it alone. And that decision you guys made as a couple, hey, no matter what happens, we're going to follow God. That's huge because we recognize that God is the good part of the good and evil. He's not the evil part. And making that kind of decision, it's not a magic word that gives you whatever you want,
Yeah.
but it's saying, hey, I'm going to recognize. And I think that decision was important, especially for what's going to happen next
Yeah.
in your story. But let me get to this question real quick. With a reputation, oh wait, no, those are the last week's questions. We don't have any questions yet. So if you have questions,
Okay.
send them our way. You get pregnant. You have, a relatively normal pregnancy, right?
Yeah, actually, we didn't share the news until I was like 14 weeks.
Yeah.
I only shared it with really,
Yeah.
probably like my mom, my dad, and my
Few
sister.
people.
A few people, because I was afraid of losing her.
sure.
The fear of losing her
Yeah.
was really big in the beginning. I was like, I'm afraid that I'm gonna bleed and she's gonna be gone.
Yeah.
So that fear was there, and then once we hit 14, 16 weeks, then we're like, okay, we're gonna share this. But even then, I was still, I think I carry that fear
Yeah,
of losing her.
Yeah.
But then I started feeling so much better.
Yeah.
Pregnancy was good
Very
for
good,
me.
Yeah.
I wasn't like in a lot of pain. I wasn't like I didn't have a lot of symptoms that a lot of women like complain about during pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I gained weight. I actually was feeling good.
Yeah.
I
So you
was
have
really
this
excited.
miracle. You have a little scare, you were anxious and nervous,
Yeah.
but relatively good pregnancy.
Yeah.
Beautiful name, Jubilee. Celebration.
Yeah.
Joyful. You have her.
Yeah.
And things don't go according to what you thought they would.
No.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, do you want to share
Yeah.
when we got home?
Yeah, I mean, when we got home, like literally when we got home that day.
Louie, like just when we hit home with Jubilee.
Yeah.
It's the scary part when they let you take it home.
Yeah. I was like driving so slow. Like, I was like, dang, it's the weirdest feeling. But yeah, I think that once Jubilee got there, we heard all the horror stories. Everybody was like, you're not going to sleep, welcome to the dad life, welcome to the parent life.
Yeah.
It's going to be hard. Okay, cool. I understand that, But as the weeks passed with Jubilee, it became apparent that Jubilee was, she's determined. She's a determined baby. That's all I could say about Jubilee. She's determined. So when she wants something, she needs it now, like every other baby, right? But I feel like she was determined on steroids. Yeah, that's what I say.
Her crying was really, really loud.
Yeah.
Almost like I'm in pain.
Yeah.
So I did notice we were doing good. We were trying to take turns after we got used to her. Of course, you don't sleep a lot. Breastfeeding, I couldn't breastfeed.
Yeah, that's
that
very
was the
sad.
first
Obstacle.
that I noticed that kind of like I was crying a lot. I started crying a lot. But I was thinking it's just because of the pain.
Yeah.
It's painful. And
So when did you know there was something wrong?
well, when I don't know. It's kind of hard to tell because it just creeped up on me. I was very emotional. I could feel that. So I was just like, oh, I'm hormonal. Everybody says it's the hormones. You do have those flashes and everything. And I think once I hit 5 to 6 weeks, it was like I was just hit by a train.
Wow.
Big time.
I woke up one day and I had a stomach pain that was here, and I started throwing up, and I had a pain that would make me nauseous, and from then on, it just got worse and worse. It was like a snowball that just started rolling, and it got bigger and bigger, and I didn't understand what was going on in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember Louie reaching out
Yeah.
and asking for prayer and asking for support. I remember going and visiting you, and you didn't look like you.
No.
And you said something to me. So if you're a part of our church, we have these welcome cards, and Nancy is actually our beautiful model that she is on so much of our material around here, because you exude joy, you exude just a warmness. And I remember you saying to me, he goes, I am no longer that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you found a card at your house.
I found that, yeah.
What'd you do to it?
I was, so as everything started, I started getting really fearful. I started crying a lot. I couldn't get up from bed. Every time I would hear Jubilee cry, I wanted to run away. It was almost like I would get a panic attack. And the pain in my stomach, I would think that I was gonna die and that Louie and Jubilee were better off without me.
Wow.
I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would see him get up and I would be like, they're better off without me. I'm gonna die tomorrow. I'm gonna die tonight. That's what started. Like, it just hit me. And I remember Louie telling me like to seek God and to keep trusting that you're gonna be okay and that it's gonna go away, that it's just a season you're in. But when I started searching for God, I was really angry. I was like, I kept asking, God, why? I expected to show off Jubilee off to the world. I expected Jubilee to be this little angel and have this beautiful cry. And I expected to be those moms that shows her off on social media. I couldn't even be on social media. I had to literally disconnect myself because I would see other moms having their babies and going out with them while I was struggling to survive every second.
I think what made it harder was, for me, was I was a chaplain, I was a bereavement coordinator at hospice. And I remember we were talking about this, how, you know, those days where it was very, very dark for her, like she had a black cloud and it was just so, it was a different moment. I just recall like getting phone calls to go visit families. Hey, we need you to go pray for someone. We need you to go, someone's grieving, someone just lost someone, they need counseling. And I just remember saying like, wow, like I can't even like help my wife and I'm gonna go help out these other families, you know? And I think that was the hardest thing for me. And yes, I would bring up God, like keep trusting in Him. But I feel that, you know, now that I look back into it, I wish I would have initiated more the therapy, or kind of like, hey, like, why don't we go see a therapist? Why don't we, you know, let's make it, I just didn't know. I didn't know what postpartum depression was.
Yeah.
She had no idea what it was. I mean, you read it.
I've heard about it in the medical field, but nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about the healing part, about what you have to do to heal after having a baby. It's not just like, oh, I go home and I'm good. No, there's healing physically, but also emotionally as a mom. You feel like part of you is gone just from one day to another. So when I saw that, I was opening my Bible every day, I wanted God to just turn the page and everything was going to be okay. And I would cry and I would be like, if you do miracles, if you are a God of miracles, I know you could change this, because Jubilee is a testimony. So if Jubilee is a testimony, I believe you could do this. And I would cry and cry. But then when things wouldn't change and things would only get worse, I'll be like, where are you? Like, are you even real? Why did you give me Jubilee to suffer like this? Like, I didn't understand it. It wouldn't connect.
That
So
doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
So when I opened up my Bible and I would write the way I would feel, I would write to God and I would tell Him that I was angry. I saw that pamphlet or
Welcome card, is it?
a welcome card, and I just remember I ripped it. And I said, I don't get what you're doing. I don't understand what you're doing, but I feel that I'm dying and that you're not around. And as time kept going by, I only got worse. And the thoughts only got worse, to the point where I would tell Louie that you're a bereavement coordinator and you're a chaplain because you're going to end up doing my funeral. That's
hard.
That was hard to say, but those were the thoughts.
That's what you were feeling.
And I was lost. I stopped. I felt like I couldn't connect with Jubilee, and I was scared. It got to the point where I started reaching out to everybody. I was so scared of.
Any advice she could
Yeah.
get? It doesn't matter if it was what it was. I just need something.
I just
remember that.
needed hope. Anything that could be said to me, any encouragement, was meant a lot.
Yeah. So was there any like song or verse or something that someone encouraged you with that just helped stick with you and really like kind of like, okay, there's a little bit of hope?
There was a lot of verses, but I don't recall them because I would write them down.
Yeah.
And
Genesis to Revelation.
but I remember, like, don't be anxious about anything. Instead, pray about everything. I do remember seeing a couple of sermons about anxiety. To always be thankful first before you seek God, and pretty much not to expect anything in return. So that's what I was trying to tell myself to do and to connect the dots, but yet the pain and the thoughts wouldn't cooperate with me. That's when I stopped. I felt like I was losing it. I was afraid that I was going to go crazy.
Yeah.
And that's when we reached out to you for help.
I remember those conversations.
Yeah.
And it was scary.
Mm-hmm.
It was really scary.
Yeah.
If someone watching right now who's struggling through this, what helped you? Like if you could say these 2 things, 3 things helped me, because now Juby's over now a year.
She's a year now.
You're feeling not insane.
Yeah.
You're feeling a
I
little bit.
could think straight.
Yeah. And it's been so neat to see that.
Yeah.
What were those 1 or 2 things that you said, man, if you're going through this, do these 2 things, and this will help?
Well, first, I just want to express the way I would express to people the way I felt. I would feel like I was having like a seizure, that I'm screaming from inside, and you're telling me, or he's telling me, I'm here for you, I'm here for you, God is with you, don't give up. But inside of me, I'm telling you, help, help. And my body is still not reacting.
Yeah.
So it feels like, it would feel like I had moments of blackout, because I would have like panic attacks.
Yeah.
And then I would come to reason, and I would be like, hey, what the heck? Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So I advise definitely to reach out,
Good.
speak up. Therapy was a lot of help. And unfortunately, not a lot of people may or may not agree with this. And I actually fought for 3 months before I did start. And I'm thankful that it helped, and I'm thankful that it was there when I needed it. But I had to start medication.
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 And what's funny is we're in church world, so we feel like we have to like explain ourselves. But if someone has a headache, people take pain medication. Or you have, something, you go, this hurts, and so you take medication to do it. But for whatever reason, in church world, we're wrestling with something emotionally, and it's like, oh, you can't just deal with it. All right, you deal with your broken leg, and let's have a conversation.
I mean, I fought it so hard.
Yeah.
I was told by my doctor, I was told by Louie, he's supporting me.
Yeah.
Till my dad said, let's go, I support you. Because I feel like at the beginning, my parents didn't understand the concept. They just thought it was hormonal issues. But then they understood, they started hearing, listening to different videos and learning more about it, and they started supporting me more.
That's good.
And the support was a lot of help. The church here supported me so much. Andrea went to my house, took me out to eat, or brought me food.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
The church, our family, like we can name them.
Melba,
Miriam.
Aubrey.
We can name everyone. I mean, we slept over one of our friends'
I
home.
got to the point where I had to go sleep over somebody else's house to be able to sleep, because I started not to sleep. So definitely reach out. Therapy if you need medication. Trust in
good.
God that I trust in God that it's not going to be a forever thing, but that I'm functioning, and that I'm not telling myself that it's time to say goodbye.
That's so good. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I know that was a lot.
Yeah,
It's
it is a
very
lot.
vulnerable, but you did great.
And I was trying to not to extend it so much, because it is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's good. And I would encourage anyone who's watching, who's walking through or knows someone who's walking through, one, don't give up hope. And like Nancy said, reach out. Let people know around you that you're hurting, so other people can come alongside and hold you up when you can't hold yourself up. That's what a community is all about. I want to invite you, we're finishing up here. It looks like I have one other question that we'll finish up right after this. You can listen later on the podcast. But I want to invite you, we won't be having Encounter Live next week, but September 2nd, we're going to have Sean Hamilton, who is a junior high teacher in Buena Park, who is wrestling, having kids of his own, and now teaching online during this COVID season. And so we're going to be sitting down with him and talking through what it means to be a teacher during this craziness. So Make sure to tune in, share the link, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know questions, but also other topics and stories that you would be interested in hearing about, because this is what this is about. We want to hear real stories from real people. They're going to be messy sometimes. We're going to talk about uncomfortable things. But that is how we allow God into our lives, is when we stop trying to put on the perfect face and just say, God, please come into my mess and do a miracle here. So thankful for you. Again, make sure to subscribe, like, all those great things. And we look forward to joining you in 2 weeks. And have a fantastic week, and know that you are loved. So Louie, we have a question here for you.
Oh, man.
For you, it says,